I'll show you a technique for reassembling a car that's going to save you a lot of time. Here I've got an air conditioning compressor that's got to go back on the car. It's very heavy, and if the holes for the screws are not right, it's going to be a very difficult challenge. Here's the technique. Before you just put everything together and hope that the bolts are going to screw in, take the bolts and thread them into the holes before you assemble. Oftentimes in aluminum, the bolts are not going to thread in real nice because of the corrosion. At first you're going to say, why would I want to do this? It takes too much time. But not doing this is going to cost you a lot more time. Straightening the threads with a tap and die set can save you a ton of time. Oftentimes you can find the correct thread size by just lining it up to the tap and seeing that everything lines up perfectly. This is an 8mm 1.25 pitch. Once I've got that, I can get the correct die. Sometimes the threads are just slightly stretched, and that's going to make it very difficult to reassemble. So just take it and put it back into the die. It's going to clean the dirt out. It's going to straighten anything. If there's any damage, it's going to fix that. You want to make sure that you've got the correct size and just run it all the way through. Once you've got the bolt cleaned off, you can try it in the holes before you take that big heavy part and try to put it on. In this case, these holes are very damaged at the beginning, and there's a lot of corrosion. Take the tap and you'll just run it in. You want to make sure that you're really careful that you don't cross thread anything. Work the tap in very carefully. Make sure you're not cutting new threads. It should go pretty easy, and just clean and straighten the threads. If it starts to get stiff, you can take it in reverse and knock out all the junk and then continue moving forward. Once it hits the back of the hole, it's going to stiffen up like this. You don't want to continue going any further than this, or you may damage all your threads. So now we're just going to reverse it out. What's really frustrating is you put the heavy part on there, you stick your bolt in, you spin it, and it doesn't catch. And you're sitting there for like 10 minutes going, oh, I wish this thing would catch. When it's like this, it'll catch. Sometimes new bolts are in order. Nothing is more comforting than being able to slide a bolt in, and you can just feel it catch right away. It's also really nice that you can thread it in all the way and make sure that everything's going together properly. If you end up using a wrench, it just goes in real nice and smooth. You don't have to wonder if it's stripping or not. When you're tightening it up, if you end up going all the way to the end of travel, you want to take it out and loosen up the bolt so the entire part is loose. You want your part to shake a little bit, that way all the bolts can go in, then you snug them up together. Keeping the bolts loose will allow you to get all the bolts in because it's going to be easier to line everything up. You've got a big part like this compressor going in, the bolts lining up will save you so much time and tons of aggravation. Now, if you pull a nut or bolt out and then you can thread it right back in, there's no reason to clean the threads. If it doesn't thread in real easy, a little bit of this type of work will save you a lot of time in the end.